Okay guys, so I am going to go ahead and talk to you today about problem set 85, and this is going to be going over more rules on signed numbers and orders of operations. This is going to be a fairly easy a lesson, but guys, here's the thing. When you're dealing with signed numbers and parentheses, you have to absolutely make sure that you do the parentheses first. And there's a couple of common errors that you guys are making. I'm going to point those out as we go along. So first things first, your geometry, you actually have 5 of them today, so you only have 25 problems to do, so that's good. You have 5, 12, 19, 20, and 30. Please mark those on your paper. Okay, so first thing is simplify. You have negative, this is example number 1, and you have -2 in parentheses, and then you have plus -2 again, and then you have another -2 next to it, and then you have -2 over +2. So those of you who don't copy the problems and you try to do part of it in your head and all that, again, this is going to start to really affect you because these problems get a little bit, not really hard, but you have to keep track, okay? And remember, PEMDAS, parentheses are not just parentheses. Parentheses, the P stands for anything that's in parentheses or are in absolute value or brackets or ellipses or anything of that sort. So it's really important that you do all that first. So I'm going to focus in here and we're going to look for our P, our parentheses. And I can see that there's a few. Now, word of caution, guys. If I take this plus away, that is no longer addition, that becomes multiplication. So please remember the plus in between. Remember we talked about terms. This is one term, this is a different term. So I'm going to start in the middle term, the second term. There's no sign separating the parentheses. So this is negative times negative is +4. Okay, then I'm going to bring down the positive. Okay, I've done these parentheses. Now I'm going to go do these parentheses. And since there's nothing next to them, I don't even need the parentheses. I can drop them. It's not being multiplied, so I don't need them, okay? Then I'm going to look at this expression, this term, and I'm going to notice that I really actually don't need these parentheses either, okay? Because those are not being multiplied, right? So what I want to do is I want to do my exponents. There's none. My multiplication, I've already done it. My division, oh, here's division, so I'm going to divide. Now, leave that sign alone, just drop it. And you're going to say negative divided by a positive is -1. So this equals -1. Since I dropped it, now I can do my addition and subtraction left to right. So there's subtraction, addition. I'm going to change the sign here to positive, and those are addition. Please regroup. This is going to be your lifesaver with these problems. So you're going to say 4 plus 1 minus 2, add the numbers that are the same, subtract the numbers that are not the same, and keep the sign from the larger number. Your answer is 3. So if you do it methodically and if you're careful, you'll see that these are not actually difficult at all. Okay, so let's look at another problem. All right, of course, number 2 is a little bit longer, and it says -3, 2 minus 4, and then -4, -2, -3, and then I'm going to have to erase this part of it so I can have room, and it's going to be plus -3, -4 in the numerator, all over 2, okay? All right, so let's begin with doing our PEMDAS. So parentheses first. Okay, that's going to be here. Inside my parentheses, this is going to be -2. But watch what happens if I bring down the -3. Now that looks like subtraction or addition. I don't want it to be adding because this has a parenthesis, so I have to keep my sign, okay? I have to keep my parentheses because I'm still multiplying here. Then I'm going to look over here and I'm going to do my second parentheses. Negative times a negative is a +6. And then again, I have to keep my parentheses and drop the -4. Okay? I'm going to bring this down And then I'm going to do my parentheses. So negative times negative is a positive 12. Okay. 12 divided by 2 is 6. Okay. Now I'm going to go back and I'm going to do, I've done my parentheses. Now I'm going to do my, I don't have any exponents, so I'm going to multiply and divide left to right. So left to right, this would be 6, negative 24. And then let me move that because it's a little confusing. This was positive 6. Okay. I'm ready to add and subtract left to right. I'm going to regroup so I don't get confused. So 6 plus 6 minus 24. That's 12 minus 24. And you can see that the answer is negative 12. The key thing is the 3 next to the parentheses is being multiplied, and the 4 next to the parentheses is also being multiplied. Okay. All right, let's look at the last example. Okay. Example number 3 says negative 2, negative, but this time I have a bracket. And then inside the bracket I have another parentheses, and this is where you guys have to really be cautious to work in the innermost parentheses, meaning if there's brackets and parentheses, and sometimes there's braces too. Do you know what a braces is? Those ones, okay? Sometimes you'll see things like this, okay? Braces, bracket, and parentheses. That means you have to do the parentheses, then you have to do the bracket, then you have to do the braces. So you got to go inside out, okay? So we're going to do the same thing over here. Let me finish writing this, and there's my bracket. So I'm going to work my parentheses, my innermost parentheses first. So that means this one. Negative times negative is positive, and then times another negative. So I have negative plus 20. So I multiplied, and I got positive 20. I can change these. Well, let me finish. So I'm going to bring this down. I don't need the parentheses because there's no number being multiplied, so I can drop the parentheses. And there's no number next to there, so I can drop the bracket. I don't need it. Well, no, that's not true. Let's not do that. You actually have to work inside the bracket first and simplify this, and after you simplify it, then you can drop it. So this, go back and change this to a negative. Okay. These are both negative, so I'm going to add those. I'm going to get negative 23. Now at this step, the brackets are no longer needed because this negative does not have a number after it. So I'll simply drop the negative down. I'll drop the 2, negative 2, okay? And I can see that I have a negative 2, negative 23, which becomes positive, okay? And now I'm going to regroup it by putting positives first, negatives after, and I end up with 21, okay? So that's how you work with different types of brackets and ellipses and things of that sort. If you just do it innermost and make sure. Now, one thing, if there is a number right here, like let's say I had a 3, negative 3, then at this step, when you bring down the negative, that means this has to stay in a bracket because there was a number. And that also means, now that didn't happen, so I'm going to erase it, but that also means in this step right here, what you guys tend to do is you tend to combine these and make negative 5 and then multiply times everything inside. And you cannot do that because you're adding before you multiply the 3. You can't do that, okay? All right, I'm going to pause the video and I'm going to do a second video for the function portion of this lesson.